For professionals working in end-of-life care, providing practical and emotional support to families and carers is an important part of the job. In this film, we'll see the work of the Leicestershire and Rutland Hospice. We'll see how they work with families to provide support as relatives near the end of life, and how the support continues after death.
Patients don't, and service users don't sit in isolation. You know, they're surrounded by families and carers, informal carers, that are essential to them achieving what they want to. The sort of support that they provide often enables people to stay at home longer, but they need to be well supported to enable them to do that.
At Laura's Hospice in Leicester, social workers work in partnership with other staff to identify informal carers in need of support. They're then referred to the Family Support Service.
Family Support Service has a number of strings to its bow, really. One of which is the coordination of the home visiting service. The second one is where we look after relatives after they've lost a patient here at the hospice. And the third string to our bow is actually coordinating a bereavement visiting service.
Home visitor Basha Foster from the family support team is visiting Helen and her daughter and carer Benita.
Hiya Basha,
Hello,
you alright?
Benita. Yeah, how's your mum?
She's not too bad. Oh, go straight through.
It's part of the hospice's sitting and befriending service.
Helen was referred to us 18 months or so ago now. The service that we provide is particularly for carers to provide that bit of respite. So I think for Benita it's been perhaps one of the most beneficial times of the week that she probably looks forward to.
The sitting service we get once a week. Basha comes in for 2 to 3 hours on a Friday. She sits with Mum, she talks to Mum, they have a good chat about the olden times and stuff, and it gives me the opportunity to go off and do whatever I want to do. If I've got shopping to do, or if I've got an appointment to go to or whatever, it gives me the chance to go out and do what I've got to do.
If only I could get up. I can't even use my Hoover, it's too heavy.
But they're heavy.
Yeah.
This is the thing.
Yeah.
The sitting service allows time for the carer to not have that caring responsibility for a short time each week or each fortnight. So if we can do that, we can support carers to maintain their social networks while they're caring, which potentially will have a benefit when they're bereaved, because they'll still have those social networks in place and they won't have lost all of that. And it's quite hard to kind of pick up those social networks if they've gone.
At least I can get that 3 hours out of the week and I can go off and do stuff. So, yeah, it's done me a lot of good. So we have used them when I'd been invited to a party and I had got nobody to sit with my mum. I was taking my son with me. And I rung and spoke to Shani, and Shani organised it for Basha to come out and sit with my mum for a few hours so I could go to this party. So it's pretty good. So I'd be lost without them, really.
Sitter Basha has been able to support and form a close bond with Benita.
Out the 12 months, 6 months she's been in and out of hospital, I've not been able to spend a lot of time with Morgan. So, because it's been going backwards and forwards to the hospital and stuff. And
well, I think it means a lot to them. They can sort of offload onto us and they don't feel so alone with it. And sometimes we can even answer questions. There might be more help that's out there that's available to them. So they're not alone with it. They've got someone they can share the burden with.
Because it's affected him at school, so...
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's a bit
worrying. I think it's attention. Basha's brilliant. I mean, she's been good for my mum. She really has. As I say, she comes in and she's just like one of the family. She's a friend. We don't see her as a worker. We see her as a friend because that's what she's become.
The period after the death of a loved one can be the most difficult time for informal carers in the family.
Death, when you're bereaved, potentially you're sort of most vulnerable because you're struggling to cope with your grief, and that's quite normal to you know, grief and bereavement is really hard, and even if it's a normal bereavement, even if it's, you know, even if it's not complicated, losing someone that you love is probably, you know, one of the most traumatic things that's ever going to happen to you.
After a death, the family support team offers a 12-week bereavement visiting service to family members, whilst therapeutic counselling is also available. Trevor lost his wife, Rosemary, 2 years ago. After assessment, the social care team referred him to the hospice's counselling service.
Well, initially, I didn't want to come into counselling. Eventually, after a couple of meetings, it really, really did help.
But after a few weeks, you felt that it was helpful?
I could talk to my counsellor quite easily after just a few meetings, and I could talk about anything.
Yeah.
Which I didn't think I would be able to.
Right.
In fact, I talked about things that I never thought I'd be able to.
Okay.
To try and help people to re-establish themselves maybe after bereavement, it is very difficult if perhaps they've had a very long marriage or a very long partnership with somebody then who's then died. It is a matter of instilling perhaps a little bit of confidence with people who are bereaved, because I think it is that they do suffer from, lack of confidence maybe, finding themselves on their own with not many people around them. So having something regular can actually provide them with the confidence then to maybe try something new, if that's what they want, and give them that little bit of encouragement really to go on.
It made things easier.
Easier.
Yes, definitely. And talking to someone outside the family and friends, talking to a total stranger, if you like.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, there's something in that about...
I don't know why that is, but that's how it felt. It made it easier.
Yeah.
Pauline is another person who's benefited from the support provided by the hospice. She was offered support by social workers after her husband, Bob, died in the hospice 2 years ago.
After Bob died, I had phone calls from Loros asking me if I needed any help, asking if the family needed any support in any way. I had 6 weeks of counselling, which was very beneficial. Yes, I was coping, but I just felt that I would like somebody to be able to talk to about Bob without having to, you know, my children having to shoulder extra burden, or friends. The day that Bob left home, I think, was the hardest day of my life, because you knew when he was leaving that he was never coming back home, you know, again. And when the family had gone home, he looked at me and he said, and he never mentioned when I've gone, that word was never said, and he said, I want you to volunteer here in the tea shop or on reception. You'll be just right. He did offer to volunteer. Subsequently, I was approached to talk to young doctors, and this is what, you know, I've been doing.
Loros couldn't survive without the volunteers that we have that contribute to the workings of the organisation. The volunteers that I've spoken to over the years, quite a few of them are drawn to the organisation because of a personal experience, that they've either been a carer or had a family member come to the hospice and have received the services that we've given and wanted to give something back because they've had a good service.
It's a place of warmth, it's a place of love, and it's a place of support. I can come in, I can bring my grandchildren, come with me, they come to the chapel, they come and light a candle, and they come and remember Grandad and remember where they visited. So, you know, I just feel that it is such a special, loving place, and people have that smile for you when you really, you know, when you really need it.